Hi, this is Fred. In this video, I'm going to be demonstrating an ACAP called DirectionCounter. And this is what you're seeing when you launch the DirectionCounter ACAP. So there are four parts here, and this view is used for both configuration and validation. So as you see on the bottom video part here, it's a camera that's looking on a street. It's been blocked for privacy reason, and you see some augmentation lines, yellow turning into gray, and I will come back to that. So this ACAP has four events. It's left, right, up, and down, and you can enable and disable which counters that you want to be using. So when the whole idea here is when objects pass the scene, they're either going left, right, up, or up and down. And in this case, it's used to count the vehicles passing by. So what you're seeing up here is the total counter value and the last time any object went left, and the last right value and that time. You also see when this time was the counters were last reset. So I can manually reset them, but I'm not going to do that because I have set on automatically reset at midnight. So as this generates events, they also show up in the event management system. You see here direction counter down, left, right, and up. So this way you could actually create any kind of a action based on when things are going down. You could possibly toggle an IO port or doing some other kind of an action. But the primary use case is taking the counter values. And you would do this with MQTT. And if you go here, you could see I have a Node-RED with an MQTT client subscribing to SimQTT ACAP direction counters. I'm using SimQTT as my MQTT client in the camera. And the debug output, you can see that there is one object going left with a value and timestamp and the device serial number. So this one now comes in every time any object passes by. Sometimes that is what you want, that you want to be counting every value. But sometimes you may want to get the values for every 15 minutes or 30 minutes. So I can go in here, and if I select time group, so these values, the left and right, is only going to be published every 15 minutes with a total counter value. If I want how many objects passed by within those 15 minutes, I can set a reset. So after 15 minutes, it will publish the counters and it will reset the counters. But in this case, my use case here is I want to look at it. I want to reset at midnight. So it's a total count for the day. Down here you see 15, the last 15 objects that passed the scene. And the yellow lines are the graphical representation of those. So this can be used to optimize the behavior. That the first setting that you would do is you click edit and defining the area that the objects must pass. So you could use this to optimize that you don't want to be counting. In this case, there is a driveway coming in here that I want to be counting only objects passing here. So if a vehicle came out of here and went that way, it would not be counted. But in this case, I want to be counting all the all the objects that comes through here. I can also say that the object needs to move at least 25% of the scene. So going from left to right, that's 100%. And you see all of these are much longer than 25%. And I can also filter on vehicles and or humans. So you can use this with caution because the object classification in the camera may not be that, secure. So you would start with any, and then you can actually look here and see for this scene how accurate it is. And then you can, this case, you don't want a person, then I can go in here and just select vehicles, and I would not get that person passing by. So you can start this ACAP and then you can just let it run for a while and come back, and you see that objects that you want to be detecting are being detected as expected, or else you go in and do some modifications. So, and the typical how I would use this is using the some other like Node-RED or some other kind of a client that will collect these items and put them in a database. One of the benefits of grouping, or doesn't really mean grouping, sending the total count value, is if you miss one message, there's no impact because the next message would include the total count value. And you can even go in and go here. Let's go to ACAPs and let's we can disable or restart the camera. So you can see if I'm trying to, so the ACAP is no longer running, everything is 0. I go back, sorry, and I will start the ACAP again. And coming back and refresh. And all values are still, you didn't lose any values just because you restarted the camera. You may lose up to 5 minutes of counting if the camera does restart or if the ACAP is restarted. So this is a very easy way to be counting objects that enters the scene and leaves the scene, and also understanding the direction it goes.